Hey, and welcome to the Creative Marketing Show. I'm your host, Angela S. Joyon. This is the podcast for ambitious women in business looking to cut the BS, stop dancing for likes, and learn to create honest and genuine marketing strategies that don't cause burnout and overwhelm. Have a question about content creation, social media, or maybe you're looking for more clarity on how to take your business to the next level. This is the show that brings the answers to your questions each and every week. Trust me, I have been there. I have felt stuck. I have felt frustrated. I have said to my husband, well, what if I did this? Or maybe I should do that. Or what do you think about this? And we go over and over and over all of these amazing ideas we have, or the goals that we have, or the frustrations we have, because maybe we're not where we thought we would be or where we want to be. We see others doing it maybe better, or they're getting there faster. Whatever that looks like, it's really keeping us stuck. So let's talk about some strategies and ways to feel really good and not feel stuck in our businesses. Let's do it. Okay, so full disclosure, I am snuggled up on my couch right now. I have a blanket on. I actually brought my mic. It's one of those long arm microphones, and I have it attached to my living room table. I'm looking at my dog. She is sleeping nice and quietly in her chair, which is amazing. I don't know if it's the sound of my voice that's keeping her asleep. Maybe. I don't know. But I was sitting here with the intention of recording some episodes. I actually haven't stepped up to the mic in a few weeks because I really do love to batch out a lot of my episodes. It's an opportunity for me to be more efficient. I also find once I'm in a groove of something, I like to stick with it. So I'm kind of starting off this episode with a piece of advice right there. Like when you're feeling stuck, work on one thing at a time, whether that is batching or just not getting distracted is huge, because I could easily pick up the phone right now, start scrolling. And well, to be honest, I set up everything and I looked out the window, and of course, there's all this construction going on in my neighborhood. It has been nonstop. You might even hear a little bit of it in the background. If you do, I apologize. But I could have used that as an excuse to say, oh, you know what? I'm not going to do the recording right now. I'll do it later because this is happening outside. I can't control that. When the truth is, stuff like that is going to happen all of the time. So if that happens tomorrow, now I've delayed it, and I've used it as an excuse. And that's a problem. We don't want to be using that as an excuse. And even right now, my phone is ringing, and I'm going to just cancel that and ignore this call. I could easily pause right now and jump on this phone call, which is hilarious. But I'm not going to, because we're going to get this done. So look at the excuses that seem to be popping up. Oh, I'm tired, or oh, this happened, or oh, that. We can very easily become attached to those, and it's going to really keep us stuck. So that's kind of where I wanted to open up this episode, because I could have let this delay me, and I have to get these done, and I committed to it. This is how I batched out my day, so I'm sticking to it. Again, going back to the batch work, I shared a previous episode all about, more efficiencies. I think it might be episode 6 or 7. So if you want to go back and listen to that, of how I try to make my days a little bit more streamlined and efficient, and I usually do that by time blocking, and that has really helped me out. It keeps me on a schedule, and I don't typically do one task longer than an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours max, and that keeps me really in line. Another way we can keep ourselves stuck in our business and our day-to-day is consuming too much. It's so easy. I understand it. Social media is fun. Pinterest is great. Oh, you found a great recipe, or you found a really funny reel and you want to keep, watching a new account. It's really entertaining. I get it. It's fun to consume, but certainly during business hours, whatever your business hours look like for you, try not to consume, because once you consume, one, it's a time sucker. And two, how many times, raise your hand, then you can tell yourself that, oh yeah, I kind of feel like shit now. I've gone down this rabbit hole. I'm seeing everybody else do so much better. I don't know how they did that, or maybe I should start doing that. And then all of a sudden, one, we're comparing ourselves to other people's success, which has absolutely nothing to do with us or our business. Two, we get sidetracked thinking, well, maybe I should do that. When all of a sudden, even if you've done the planning and you have set your goals, you've set your task for the day or for the week, now you're going off course because you've been influenced by what you're seeing out there. And then it can get its way into our head when we're thinking, maybe that's what I should be doing, which leads me into what we consume. I was actually having coffee the other day with someone, and we got into this conversation where a lot of what we're seeing out there isn't really sound advice. It might seem like it. Be very, very particular of who you follow and the advice you want to consume, because if it can't be backed up, that's a problem. Anyone everywhere out there can share information. It's free speech. We have these free apps. We can do it, myself included. I have this podcast. I don't want to bring anything to the table that doesn't come from a place of experience. Otherwise, I like to keenly search out, experts in their field and investigate and really understand, like, is this coming from a place of value, or is this coming from a place of them trying to sell their own things? I'm all about selling your products, your services, and your offerings. Don't get me wrong. But sometimes there are so much, information coming at us where it's hard to decipher what is even accurate, what is honest, and what is also coming from a place of integrity. So again, when we're looking through or scrolling through, whether it's TikTok or Instagram, just be mindful of, is this right for me? Or is this something I really want to buy into? And do your homework. Really understand like where this advice is coming from, or if it's just not really for you. Anyway, I'm not going to go into a big tangent about that, but just be very wary. Everybody is trying to, find success, find inspiration on these platforms, but it can very drastically change and shift in a matter of minutes and can get you off course. Now I feel like I'm getting off course with this episode. I'm rambling. Let's keep going. My point with all of that is the distractions, they keep us stuck. So if we can really get a hold and recognize when we're actually getting distracted and when we're doing research, we can call it that all day long. But at the end of the day, if it's taking us away from working on our business and setting our own goals and actually getting the work done, it's a distraction. So that leads me into just considering what your goal is outside of everything else you hear. And I think a lot of times with small business, we really get focused on the money side. And I understand. I'll be the first to say it. I'm not in business for fun. Is it fun? Absolutely. But you know what also is fun? Eating, having a bed to sleep in, having, a car to drive. So, we need finances for that. So I'm not going to, say, oh, but it's just so rewarding. Hey, if it's rewarding, you're doing the right thing, because I certainly find this rewarding. But would I do it for free right now? No. Let's be honest and get that out of the way. But understanding, your real goals. And with the social media and what we see, sometimes we get a lot of the how to get to, $10,000 months or $5,000 months, or how to make, hit the $1 million club and all of that. That's really overwhelming, especially as you're starting out or small business. And that influence can sometimes really trickle in where it's like, that's my goal. I want to get there. And I'll be the first to admit, I was that person. 2 years ago, I had this number in my head, and it was like chasing this number where after a while, I started to be really frustrated. And I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden, I looked back. I don't know if I was reading something, and it reminded me, well, when did I celebrate? I haven't even really celebrated the milestones that I did hit. It got into my head that because I didn't hit this one milestone, and it was a big one, I probably set it way too high. And I'm not saying don't hit, set high goals, but when I didn't hit it, I was pissed and I was frustrated and I felt like shit, like full transparency. What I didn't do was realize I did better in that year than I did the previous year, and significantly. And even if it wasn't significant, even if it was $1 more, celebrate. And that I had to remind myself, like, why am I being so hard on myself when it has been progress? And I have learned and I have grown, and to keep on that track. And so really understanding what the goals are, and to kind of wrap this whole point together, was also flipping what I thought was my goal, probably because I was really influenced by what others were doing. I took joy and pride in knowing I had growth. And you know what? I still get to walk my kid to school every day. I'm the first one there at pickup every day to bring him home. If he's not well, I can be there for him, because that was the goal, really, was. And yours might look like that. Yours might look different. All I'm saying is understanding what yours is, and that's your currency. Currency is energy. And the energy that I wanted was to be able to walk my dog every day, get my son to school. If he needs to be home, I can be there for him and still run my business and grow it and enjoy what I do. And when I flipped the lid on that, I realized that is what success is. And I really wanted to share that, because sometimes we just need these reminders that you're doing a great job. And if you're, progressing and you're growing, celebrate that. And don't forget, even those small wins are big. Take off that pressure where you feel like you have to, hit this. And if you don't, it's a failure. Everything is a lesson, and it's how we're going to grow. And so I don't know if someone out there needed to hear that today. Running a business, growing a business, building a business, it is really tough, and it's not for the faint of heart. But if you really do love what you do, and you understand it's going to work in with the lifestyle you desire for yourself, that is a huge win. And sometimes we don't talk about that enough of, is this winning? I feel like I'm winning. Maybe I haven't hit certain milestones that I'd like to, but I wake up every day and practice more gratitude and of understanding I get to do this and I'm enjoying it. Even when it sucks. Don't get me wrong. I have the days where I'm like, oh my God, I'm so frustrated. I don't know what to do next. And this happened and that happened. That is just the way of the world. And that is okay, as long as we can look at those as lessons and grow from it. So again, if you needed to hear that today, I hope that was helpful. Moving along, even just juggling too many things at one time is also going to keep us stuck. I understand. It's, posting on Instagram. Maybe you're trying to get onto another social media platform like TikTok or Pinterest. And you're finding like, well, can I just share it here? No, you have to make them unique to each platform and this and that. We're getting stuck. And then, putting your email list together and nurturing that email list and growing it there. It's a lot. Trust me, I understand. But when we're trying to juggle everything at once, oh my gosh, it's so easy. Your brain is just going to shut down. One of the things I have found has really been helpful, aside from time blocking, is also like mind mapping and really laying out visually. I use Canva for it, and I map it out in terms of like, here's my business and what are the facets of my business. So mine goes into, email marketing, my online membership, my upcoming courses that are coming, my opt-ins or lead magnets and freebies and resources that I like to provide, my social media and the podcast. And then from there, really segmenting everything that goes with it and allocating some goals to it. But I'm also, when I say goals, it's very, I don't want to say loose, but things that I would like to strive for. So for my social media, the way I've mapped it, I'm like, if I can share on Instagram 3 times a week, that is consistent enough. On a side note, it's because I don't like to throw so much of my marketing strategy into one platform. I think cross platforms are important, but the ultimate goal is I want to get people over to my website. So you know what? Posting 3 times a week on Instagram is enough, as long as it's quality and I'm speaking to the right people. So I want to share that with you, where the ultimate goal, you might be creating more work for yourself, thinking, I need to get to 10,000 followers, or I need to get this many likes, and I need to show up consistently on Instagram. I need to post every day. Or here on TikTok, you have to post 3 or 4 times a day in order to grow. These goals or these these objectives are going to keep us stuck because they might not be right for us. So, really pulling it back, where do you want your audience to end up? My guess is on your email list or to your website. What are some strategies and ways to really focus? So that's where we're taking them, not just showing up on Instagram because we feel like we have to in order to grow on Instagram. Please do not build your business on Instagram. If you can take away anything from this episode, it is that. So again, juggling too many things at one time, we throw that on ourselves. We say, oh, but I have to post this many times. I have to show up here. I have to. When in reality, you don't. And when you can take a step back and really, map out what is the end goal and what are the strategies I can use to get them there. Hey, using Instagram is one of them, but it's not the be all and end all. So if you need to take a little step back and really focus, that's my suggestion, is mapping it out. I sometimes love to do this as well, just with a pen and paper. I'm old school like that. But Canva's great for it too, because I can really see it. So I've been putting a new one together for this next quarter coming up, and having that visual is really helping me to manage that and not spending too much time in one spot, of understanding when and where I need to focus that time and that energy. To wrap up today's episode, I shared a little story. If you're on my email list, you would have read this a couple weeks ago. I took my family to see the musical Hamilton. If you know me or you've been, connected or following me for a while, you probably know I'm a huge musical theater fan. I have seen probably way too many shows, many of them more than once. And finally, we got to see Hamilton in Toronto. It's there for the summer and the spring. And we bought our tickets 4 years ago. Of course, COVID hit. So my husband and I, we waited. It was great. They released it on Disney Plus, so we were able to watch it. And of course, my son, who is 7, started watching it. We're like, and I know, don't call the parent police. I know there's language in it and it's a mature show. But to me, musical theater is art. So it's okay. It's a pass for me, for my 6 and then now 7-year-old son to watch. And he loves it, by the way. So we got our tickets, and then COVID. And when we were able to finally rebook, we decided to add in another ticket for him. So we went to the show. It was amazing. Side proud mama moment. My son knows how much that I love musical theater. Like, I was crying driving to the theater. I was that excited. I cry at every show. It doesn't matter what the context. It could be the most hilarious show. As soon as that overture starts going out, I'm Niagara Falls, because I love it so much. I'm such a nerd when it comes to it, but I love it. Anyway, my proud mom moment during the show, it's going on and I'm encapsulated with what's happening on stage. And he just taps me and he looks right at me and he whispers, "Are you enjoying it?" And it was like, yeah, I am. It felt like such a role reversal, that my son was just making sure that I was having a good time. Anyway, what I was going with that, oh my gosh, now I'm like almost in tears. It was the most sweetest, endearing thing ever. And if you haven't seen the show Hamilton, please, please, please go see it. It's fabulous. But in this email I shared a few weeks ago, I quoted one of the lines from the show, and it was all about legacy. Alexander Hamilton says, "Legacy, what is a legacy? It's planting seeds in a garden you never get to see." I believe I've said that correctly. And that really stuck with me in terms of, as we're growing our business, we might not ever see, the full blossom of potential that it could be. But in this moment right now, it is worth it to plant those seeds. So it's those little things, those little investments, those little ways that we can start to see growth, because it does take time. So not to get all philosophical and all out there, but that really stood out to me. And I shared that with my audience on my list, and I got a few really nice messages back, which was really awesome. And so that's the last thing I'm going to share to wrap up today's episode is, one, play the long game, because the quick wins, they don't last long, and then we're constantly trying to go to the next thing. So play the long game, plant those seeds, be patient, and enjoy every little bit of bud and spark and growth that comes as you go on. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm so happy that you chose to pop in those headphones, whether you're walking, doing the dishes, or you're sitting at your desk, or you're driving, however you like to listen. It really is rewarding to know that you chose to listen to the Creative Marketing Show. And I will ask a favor. I'm trying to grow the show. I want to reach more women in business, especially just starting out and small business, because I have been there. I have done those rebrands, those reshifts. I'm going through a big shift right now. And so I want to make sure that we can support each other. So if you can leave a rating and review, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, you just go to the show, scroll down. I would love to hear what you're thinking and what you're feeling about the show, but also the more reviews that I can accrue, the more reach that I can actually get with the show. So I hope you can do that. And if you're looking for a little bit of more, accountability or support or a cheerleader in your corner and a really awesome community, check the show notes for the Creative Marketing membership. It is priced at a low rate. It will increase as we are starting to move in the next couple weeks. So I would love for you to join in. You can try it risk-free. You can cancel anytime. But I think once you get inside, you'll see, if you like the podcast, you're going to really like what's inside the community. So I would love to see you there. Otherwise, tune in next week to another episode, and I look forward to hearing what you think of the show. You can catch me on Instagram at angela.s.doyon, but even more importantly, get on the list, because that's where I love to share more free resources, a little bit more storytelling, and there's just that more connection point to me. You can do that by heading over to my website, angelasdoyon.com. All the details and links are in the show notes. And lastly, because the show is for you, you can always submit a question, and I'm happy to answer it on the podcast. This gives me some great opportunity to really hear what you're looking to learn more about. And if I don't know, I will find the expert and bring them on. And we've got some really great interviews coming up on the program. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. Have a wonderful day, and we will catch you next week.